We're going live. And we are live. Today, I am sitting with the amazing Linda Humphries, who is a metaphysician and psychic medium and has been since she was 3.5 years old. Let's hear your stories. They're absolutely incredible.
All
I've had
right.
goosebumps.
I just have to say one thing to everybody looking at us and going to view this in the future. Miracles happen, and you're capable of a miracle even if you weren't born third generation gifted like I was. My niece is a fourth generation. She's a vet. So you don't have to be gifted. Being an empath, being sympathetic towards people. You may heal somebody by what you say to them in a doctor's office while you're both waiting to be waited on, or at the car dealership when you're waiting for your car to be repaired. Miracles happen that you don't understand and you don't realize you've done them. And that's why when I talk to the other side, like I do during sessions that people book with me, I love it when somebody has died of cancer and they thank the person for how much courage they gave them to fight that cancer and how they never talked to them about the cancer. And when I describe what the person looks like, the person goes, "Oh my God, that was the school teacher that taught with me." Or, "Oh my God, that was my mother-in-law." It's it's a gift I can't explain because all the things I've done from, as my hostess says, from 3.5 on have been amazing things that just happen because I don't believe I should shut up. And sooner or later, you guys will tell me to today. But the first thing I shared with Lauren was my dad had a band, and I would have dreams about the people that came to the dances regular. And the one dream scared me so badly because this couple could dance fancy. They owned a big business. They had children. They had a farm. And I saw in my dream that the next time they came to the dance at Fayetteville, Illinois, they would be hit and killed by a semi truck driver who fell asleep right as they were getting to their lane to go home. Because my great Aunt Julia had healed their kids of strep throat, of tonsillitis, of all kinds of other different things, and has helped them when their birds that they sold to the grocery store got chicken flu, or bird flu, I should say, and they got healed. They knew what I dreamt had to be real. So they stayed afterwards with me and they bought me a hamburger to thank me and they bought me a soda and we sat together. And when they left, when my dad finished tearing down all his instruments, they went home. And when they got to their lane, there was an ambulance and fire trucks. Indeed, someone had died. And I felt guilty at the time because it was one person. And they said, the truck driver said he was sorry he fell asleep. The people got closure because I told them to tell the people when I met them the next week at the dance that that person was out of their body before the truck hit them and that God had already taken them. So I helped get closure at 3.5 for people. And Bonnie and Roy both told me it was a miracle. And I told them it's just what I do. And I guess at 3.5, that sounded really odd, but it is just what I did then. And then at 4, we went to the DuQuoin State Fair during the summertime. And in my dream the night before, I saw my godfather falling asleep at the wheel, and I couldn't stop him from driving. So, laying in my father's lap, as I heard us crunch and hit the semi and go underneath the semi, I woke up and screamed, "Stop!" And he put the brakes on. And had he gone further, the windshield would have cracked. And I and my dad and my godfather, if it would have shattered, would have been cut with glass. Because back in those days, they had thick glass on those windshields. And it was in the 50s, by the way, because I'm 73, everybody. And then, as I said to her, it's something that grew. The more I used it, as my Aunt Julie said, the more you're an empath with your dreams, the more you're empathic with talking to a stranger and telling them what's going on in their life, the more the gift grows. So when I was in 5th grade, my best friend, I dreamt about her getting on the monkey gym set that looked like a rocket ship, and she would fall and bust her knee wide open to where we could see everything in the inside, and she would bleed profusely. It happened because she didn't listen to me. And our 45th reunion. She shared with all our classmates from the same grade school and high school we went to together that story. And what I did when she fell and I saw how much she was bleeding is I put my hands over and I did what my Aunt Julia taught me, white light for healing. Because white light, when you send it to somebody, heals the person's parts of the body for what they needed. She needed to quit bleeding. I needed to close that. So I waved my hands like this and I closed the sore. She got to the hospital and they said, "Who sealed that shut for you?" And she told them. And the doctors in the ER said, "Well, we're going to have to reopen it, Mona, and we're going to have to clean it out." But they said I stopped her from the loss of blood. And that's why I'm saying to you, how did I do that? I was in fifth grade. I did it because I didn't believe it was impossible to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to understand. If you have somebody who's sick with congestion, you can have them breathe in the color teal when they're breathing in. I do it for people with cancer because the heart chakra genuinely is emerald, like it's on the outside of this ruby. It's generally emerald green, but the color of it is not emerald green. It's red because of the blood pumping and because that's the aura that it gives away if you look at it. But it also has a rose on the back that's pink. When I was in Kansas City doing readings for a group of women that suffered from being talked down to, they were working with kids that had lack of self-esteem. So I covered with those ladies. Rose quartz help builds up your self-esteem. Put a small piece of selenite with it, or the piece of copper. And now, since I took pranic healing, it'd be two heart for the twin heart to give more energy to what you want that rose quartz to do for you, to do with what you're worth. And that's why after we did that, we all got ready and got dressed up because we were going to go see my friend Wes play at one of the hotels where he played piano. And when we left, we looked up in the sky and the sky was totally pink. I was there for 5 more days counseling people. Every night, the sky turned pink. And on my way home, it was pink all the way I drove home for the 6th day. And it was pink when I got to Illinois. I drove through St. Louis and where the arch was, the arch always has nice lights on it. It had a pink hue around it, aura around it instead. And I knew it was just telling me I did the right thing. Because when I do a session with you, I'm very bold. I tell you exactly how you need to change, exactly what's holding you back, exactly what's coming up. And I describe the people that shouldn't be around you. And that's what I did for those teachers. So that was my miracle. And they all changed. And they got in charge. And by the next time I came out, they booked a session with me so they could brag about what they've done. Not because they needed me. Unfortunately, I would have rather had it be that, but I still gave them information. But that's why I'm telling everybody, you do these things without realizing you're doing them. But take note that when somebody thanks you, that's building up your karma. And when you build up enough good karma, and Lauren's done it herself, when you're in your worst, you can ask for good karma to come to you. I did it when one of my best friends was trying to get pregnant because I saw her having a little boy. And they were told no children. They went to specialist after specialist, no children, no children, no children. And I did a meditation, and Queen Hatshepsut was talking to me. And she said, "Don't you remember the stones we used in Egypt?" And all of a sudden, I could see all the stones I used for getting people pregnant in
Wow.
Egypt. And here is one of my bags with some of them in. And like I said, some of the stones are bigger if you need more help. The littler bag that I've got has the little carnelian and it has the smaller stones that I used. And the carnelian, always when I give it out, has what looks like, and I know you won't be able to see this because this is a smaller one than the bigger ones I give out, but they have what looks like, I don't know how easy you can see that, an embryo
Mm.
growing inside. See the dark growing inside of it?
Oh, wow, yes, I can see that. That's amazing.
And one of my gynecologists took a bag to use for her patients. And she gave me a message through her mother, who I exercised with, that she gets an 85% rate of people that are told by her and other people they cannot have babies. She said, but she hands them all my paperwork. And as I explained to you, when I do what I do, I always make paperwork of what the stones are going to do, what their energies are, how they help you, and how you use them. And I will even say, like with carnelian, if somebody's looking to be having a new business, I'll give them the carnelian and the unakite because unakite helps you with good ideas and new ideas. The carnelian helps with rebirth and birth, and having a new business is a birth. So a lot of these stones do everything. So when you get my handouts, when you order from me, lindahumphries.com, I send everything. And people get kind of overwhelmed when they say, "Oh, this will work for money too." And I go, "Yes. You
Mhm.
paid for the paperwork. I give you the paperwork fully." And that's why I said people do not understand how I know this, but my biggest struggles have been 5 times with cancer. And the first time was in 1993. I had a tumor growing down from my cervix that was as long as my middle finger. The doctor said, a month is too long to wait, Linda. Next week, I have a surprise for you. And it was Easter Sunday. So I went to church and did my prayers. And one of my friends had a bottle about that tall, about an inch tall, and about an inch around that had herbs from Native Americans, stones from Native Americans, not the same that I use for cancer, but other stones, all in this bottle of liquid. And she'd used it when she had breast cancer that disappeared. So I used it. I got a girlfriend, Rosie Casatino, who did healings for me, who passed away, unfortunately. Um, Carnation oil in the back of the neck to stop you from bleeding. And it does help. I have people use it all the time before they go into surgeries,
Mm.
especially if they bleed a lot. So I had that on my neck when I went to see him the next week on Thursday. So from one Thursday to the next Thursday after Easter, I was, not to describe this, but I'm in the stirrups and he has a lady walk in with him who is a cancer specialist and surgeon from the Siteman Cancer Center in St. Louis. She said, I'm going to do your biopsy today. They both had their mask on. As I'm laying there, they're crying. And I'm really scared. Stuff has gone way wrong. And she says, you just need to clean up and meet me in Dr. Odell's office. So I cleaned up, met her in the office, and she goes, here's some cream. You have a yeast infection. And I don't know if you and him are imagining it or not, but there's nothing on your cervix at all. She
Wow.
said, so thank you for letting me be part of this miracle. And she took the bottle, wrote down what was inside of it, and said, the garnet around your neck, what does that do? I said, it stops you from bleeding during surgeries. It also brings you money all the time, too. But this time I didn't use it for that. But it was so wonderful that she said the word miracle.
Yeah, amazing.
So the next time I got cancer, I had 8 stones inside my uterus and 7 in my uterus and one over the one ovary. And 3 of them were bigger than my doctor's fists. And he was a big man. And he said, I don't know what you want to wait 2 months for. I said, because I'm going to do something, I think. I saw it in a dream. I'm going to heal this. I went to do a psychic fair in Wichita, Kansas, and a lady came up to me and smacked me. And at that time, Rosie had passed away, and I was being a mom to her son, Ben. And Ben came running over. He goes, don't hit her. She said, I have a right to hit her. She's my daughter-in-law. And she was an Indian medicine woman when she married my son. I don't know why she's not using her medicine she used with Queen Hatshepsut for cancer. And I looked at her and went, huh? And she goes, on the way home, you wear this azurite and malachite necklace, and I will show you how big the stones were. They were as big as this with azurite and malachite in them. And the necklace and the earrings, by the time I had found what else to use, and the day I did my surgery, they had holes in them and they busted in two when he told my brother the results. And in the long term, I kept getting sick at my stomach and losing hair. And a guy gave me this. It's emeralds over rubies. The rubies stopped me from hemorrhaging. The emeralds stopped me from being sick at my stomach. But I couldn't put that underneath my pillow with the stones, the azurite and the malachite and the lapis that I had because they were all too big. Everybody gave me bigger stones, but they were laying at the foot of the bed. So underneath, after having a dream about Queen Hatshepsut and I added green moss agate to it. And my hair got thick again. And I wasn't sick at my stomach. 2 months later, when he did the surgery on me, he came out 2 hours later. And my brother goes, what's wrong? You look terrible. He said, I'm sweating. He said, every tumor inside Linda left, except for one as big as my pinky, the top of my pinky, and the one over her ovary. So everything had collapsed and I had to get it out of there. He said, she must really work for God. And that's why I'm telling everybody, I give away those stones on purpose because they worked for me. The stones I used from the Native Americans, I gave back to the young lady who gave them to me. But I still have that necklace of garnet. And I still have carnation oil for the back of my neck if I'm having surgeries. The amazing thing, and this is what I told her when I wrote her about wanting to be on the show, is after that, in 96, I developed throat cancer and had lesions in my throat, big lesions, and an ulcerated stomach. I laid those stones, little bitty bag, behind me at night. I put them on the front of my throat during the daytime and held them there if I wasn't doing anything but watching TV or writing stuff up. And 6 months later, there were no lesions. The amazing thing is, I think karma helped me. I had healed, and this is where I want to talk to you about something very special I did. I had healed Patti LaBelle at a concert 2 years before I got the throat cancer. I saw in a dream that I needed to take a heart that was made out of fire opal, that her diabetes would be so bad she couldn't meet with us before for the meet and greet. The lady who ran the thing when I got my ticket said, I know you, you're Patty's friend. She healed you by singing There's a Winner in You in 1988 when you were anorexic. And now you heal people. And I said, yes, I do. And you need to take this gift back to her now. She's not going to be able to meet with us. Her diabetes is way too high. She played with that stone, came out on stage and did 2 hours minus 5 minutes of singing. And she naturally showed the crowd what Linda did and told about me.
Oh, wow. How
And in the
incredible.
crowd, I had brought along 4 bags of these stones. In the crowd, the lady in front of me had a friend that had cancer for the third time. And I tapped her on the shoulder and told her what I saw. And she goes, that was before Patti announced about me. And she goes, I'll just take the papers. This lady's involved with a millionaire. They can get the real fancy stones put on a
Oh,
necklace for her since the cancer is throat.
oh,
And they did. And she let me know later that the lady got
that's
healed.
amazing. That
And
is
that's why I'm
incredible.
telling everybody,
Yeah.
don't doubt it
Hmm.
because this is a little bitty bag that I use for myself. Yes, I have the bigger ones sitting next to me here. Another green moss agate I just purchased. A lapis that I just purchased that's pretty big that are going to
Wow.
sit in my living room along with the green moss agate that I use that farm the Sacred Heart of Jesus on it while it was healing me of the sixth cancer that they diagnosed me with. And within a week, it was gone. So that's why I'm saying, and I always have my malachite wand so I can work on the areas counterclockwise. And I will tell you something. I don't care what anybody says about miracles don't happen. I was given medicine in 2022 that's doxycycline. And please take note of that, everybody who's had cancer before in their uterus area, in their throat area, in their stomach area, anything going straight down the body, you can get cancer again from using that. And I did. I got 3 lesions in my throat again, and I got 2 tumors in my stomach. And when the doctor who looked at me, when I finally got to a doctor that looked at me, the gastroenterologist from SLU in Barnes, I should say she's from Barnes, Washington U. And her letter to me this year was, thank you for being my client and my patient and showing me the miracle that could happen in 6 months' time. Your lesions in your throat totally disappeared. There was no sign you ever had them. The 2 tumors in your stomach disappeared. They weren't in your lower intestine. They hadn't moved. They weren't hiding somewhere in your stomach. They were gone. And that's why, like I said, when I went to the Patti LaBelle concert, when I had the throat cancer the first time, she came out on stage being brought to the microphone. She was so weak and her diabetes numbers were so high. And she said, well, I don't have to worry about it. Linda Humphries is in the first row. She'll heal me tonight without a stone. I had a frozen shoulder that wouldn't raise above this high because it was Patti LaBelle who saved my life. And I owe her good karma. I raised that frozen shoulder up and started crying. And I started shaking like I did out in New York City in the Bronx when I gave her the stone. And all I did was ask that white light come through my crown chakra, and everybody can do this, back where the baby gets the cap put on so nothing evil enters them. You ask for the golden light and the white light from God to come in, go down the arm you use as your healing hand, and send that energy out to the people. And I did that for her. 20 minutes later, she left go of the microphone and started wiggling around and dancing like she does. So when I was checked out for my first throat cancer, when I went to leave, the doctor said, I'll write on your chart that you healed yourself with those stones you use. And the nurse that wheeled me out with my Patti LaBelle t-shirt on said, I'm going to call my sister today and tell her to call Patti. And I said, Patti LaBelle? She goes, yeah. She goes, you don't know who my sister is? I said, no. She said, oh, my sister is the lady who gets the performers for out at the St. Charles convention thing where Patti was at. So she'll call Patti because when Patti got the doctor to look at her, her blood sugar was 500. After you sending her those energies, it went down to 150. That's why I'm telling people I sent white light to Patti. I didn't have a stone to give her.
Mhm.
I was by myself. But white light contains all the colors of the rainbow. So what she needed for diabetes was a pitalite. She also needed the green moss agate. She also needed aventurine. If you put a D in it, it's adventurine, but it's not a D. It's aventurine because those all, and I visualized her having the energy of that fire heart opal that I gave her. So when the lady wheeled me out to my car and she told me that, she says, it's your karma. Look what you did for Patti twice. She told all of us about what you did for her backstage that night. So you have to realize, everybody who's listening to this today, our visualization work, what we do with the words we do to heal people, that makes us good karma. So when we need something, who we pray to, and I don't care if it's Allah, Jesus, God the Father, Mary Magdalene, Mary, Mother Mary, or who you pray to. I have kids that come in with no self-esteem, and I ask Mother Isis and Mother Mary both to help them. because Mother Isis helped protect the children of Egypt. So I'm not afraid if somebody's a different religion than me to do something for them.
Mm.
And as I said to you earlier, I have specialists now that have this is a chakra bracelet that I sell. But in the process, I give you the papers on the chakra bracelet. It's on my website. And I tell you what the 11 chakras of the body are, going all the way down, and what they do for you. People have to understand. They don't just they don't just spin because this is the God chakra where the crown is. There's also a God heart above you, 12 inches. And that's why, after taking the pranic healing classes, everything I give out has the St. Francis of Assisi prayer that we do in pranic healing, because that is the twin heart meditation. We don't do something made up. We do what's already listed and works. And I
Right.
put in every bag two little copper hearts because copper and selenite both increase the power of the stone and help the stone last longer if you need to sleep with it for 8 hours. Help it last longer if you're looking for a job interview with your boss and you're going to have it in your purse and you don't know when he's calling you in. They last longer because those energies from selenite, which is I got littler pieces that I put in bags. There's one in this bag, but it's just little. It's not big at all. It's tiny. But it also, by the fact that it was used for windows in the olden days, it's the window to energize it and to the end result. That's why I'm so honored that Lauren's letting me here today to talk to everybody and let them know it's miracles done by what's in the ground. And by me knowing, by working with Queen Hatshepsut and also as a Native American healer, what to use, it works. I just don't want anybody to doubt. My one girlfriend is now 86. When her daughter and her both developed cancer, her daughter threw my stones in the trash can. My friend Josie put them in her bra. The tumors inside her breasts disappeared. She had no treatments. She still, years later, wears those stones in her breast. The same as I, who survived throat cancer, sleep with these little bitty packets of stones underneath my pillow. And you can't see now because I got makeup on, but if I didn't have makeup on, you could probably see this white circle here, as if I've had my throat treated with radiation. That's why when I got throat cancer the last time, and I went to Dr. Kaporia at WashU, she said, I want you to use what you used before because this is not your fault. You're not eating wrong. You're not doing wrong. You had the wrong medication given to you. 6 months later, she said, well, you did it. Now, when I was diagnosed with the skin cancer, as I said, my brother found this in the store and it was $39. He said, don't you need this? It says green moss agate doesn't help with cancer healing. I said, yeah, but no, I don't want to buy that. That's a lot of money. Well, Mr. Man, who makes more money than me by a lot, just took it, put it in the cart, and we took it home. He also did it when I had and I will show you this as a gift from him, but he got it for $5. How they sold him a big rose quartz like this for $5, I don't know. But when I had my gallstones and my kidney stones attack at the same time, I used that with the cancer stones because the rose quartz physically heals you. It gives you fight, it gives you self-esteem, it makes you know you can survive this. The only thing you have to remember about that is don't sit and meditate with something that big on your lap and then get up and have it fall on your shin. You get a nice bruise.
That happened to you, I'm guessing.
Get me? And I did it by accident because it made me
Oh,
relax. The pain was gone. The kidney stones had passed. The gallstones were gone. I went the next day to get my my examination, my ultrasound, and everything was gone. But there was a nice bruise on my shin. So he always tells me, don't use my stone unless you have somebody watching you and taking care of you. I don't want you hurting yourself. But it isn't a coincidence that he found it and he found it cheaper. He had the money to buy one that'd be 70 to $80. He could have bought me $1,000 one if he needed to. But because of his good karma buying that first stone,
You got it
and
for
my aunt told
$5.
him to get me a rose quartz, he found one for $5.
Amazing. I've seen beautiful rose quartz angels as well.
Oh yes.
There's a
It's
lot of gemstones here.
it's they
Mm.
they do so much healing, and that's what I'm going to share right now. Before I knew about the stones and Queen Hatshepsut and everything, a lady from Kansas City whose daughter I met at a Liz Taylor event in St. Louis started my business for me by calling me out to her house to do readings for people over and over again, many, many people over and over again. Her mother got cancer, bone cancer that my aunt died of. And I knew how much pain she was in. The only thing I had with me was a little rabbit that was made out of rose quartz. And I asked Jesus before I went to see her, I said, Jesus, I know she's Jewish. Would she be upset if I said the Lord's Prayer over her? And he goes, no, she'll accept it. So I said the Lord's Prayer over her, blessing and sending the energy, like I said, with white light into that rabbit. She used that rabbit till the day she died, and she lived 4 more years,
Wow.
and she had no pain.
Wow, that's incredible.
And she said, how did you do this for me the last time I went to see her? She said, I have no pain. I said, I didn't do it. I
Mm.
said, I asked Sister Teresa of the Little Flowers to heal you.
Mm.
And she told me she couldn't. Jesus told me he couldn't. Saint Raphael told me he couldn't. I asked all the saints I knew from all the religions. I even asked one of the saints that is like Saint Michael to burn it out of her because that saint burns things away for the Hindus. And she told me I can't, but we could take away her pain by you saying the Lord's Prayer and you giving her that rabbit.
Wow.
So I got it back. It's in my bedroom on my altar of stones
Mm.
because that lady was so wonderful. She didn't care that I was a Catholic.
Mhm.
She only cared that her pain went away and that I
Yeah.
was somebody who helped her daughter and everybody who came to me. So that's why I'm telling you, even though that stone isn't specifically for cancer, and I knew it wouldn't work for cancer, it did what I asked it to do.
Mhm.
They're stones. Everybody says, oh, and I have to watch what I say because I know Rosie's watching over me right now. But my best friend was an astrologer.
Huh.
And when she said, when the moon has Mercury go retrograde, you can't sign any contracts. You can't make any deals. Well, three of the cars that I bought that went over 135,000 miles were all bought when Mercury was retrograde. My house, my house that I'm in right now, yes, there were gunshot holes in the walls upstairs because he abused his wife, and I got it as a divorce sale. But the lady who lived here first in 1862 visits the people that are being abused and tells them that if they want to stay longer and get stones from me, all they have to do is ask. And they see her in the same outfit she wore in 1862 when she died here of gangrene because her husband pushed her down the staircase and he never got her help. But
Wow.
understand how proud I am that I
Mm.
healed this house,
Mm.
that it's now used for healing. And
And
I know
she's part of it. Wow.
she visits those who are being abused
Mm.
verbally, mentally, physically, or emotionally, and tells them everything she needs to tell them. And yes, I do stay a lot longer than I should in some of my sessions because I want them to have the right stones to go home with. And Rosie used to do it at her shop at Union Station. She would give stones to those people that desperately needed them that she might know couldn't afford them.
Mm.
So I'm just passing on my best friend's gifts. But that's why I said I had to share everything because I didn't think I had a stopping point as proven by what I'm doing. The one thing we haven't talked about yet, I did share with you earlier. I talk to people on the other side.
Mm.
And when you do that, you're told not to talk to someone who has just died. It will wear you out. So I did a party in Collinsville, and a lady came into my room, and my phone, which is off, was off then. All of a sudden, it rang the theme from the Big Valley. And that is one of my web rings that put to ring. But I didn't have that on. I had Wonder Woman on because I know Linda Carter. So I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm going to shut this off right away. But I saw the number and it didn't look like anybody's number I knew. So I shut it off, showed her it was off again. 5 minutes later, it popped on. And it was the Big Valley again. And I had showed her what my ringtone was. And I said, ma'am, there's a young man standing behind you. And his message to you is, he beat you to heaven. So when you get to heaven, you have to pay for all the meals. She got up from her chair, hugged me, and kissed me, and said, I know who that is. She got in her purse, got out her son's cell phone that had managed to get through an accident that had mutilated his car and him, and showed me his ring number.
Mm.
My phone rang again. We compared numbers, and she went, see? And I said, but why did he change the ringtone? She said, well, growing up, he had a big crush on Linda Evans from the Big Valley.
Ah.
So I imagine he reached in to change that so I would know it was him. And she said, is his body physically okay? I said, oh, yes. He's perfectly healed. He just hasn't done the last steps you do before you cross. And one of those steps is you look in on everybody you love
Mm.
and you feel their pain. You feel what they miss from you. And when you get on the other side and you're watching them, you can visit them and dream or talk to a gifted psychic like me who will give you the answers like I gave her. And when I finished telling her all this, she said, but you did a big miracle. We were both driving our vehicles to Springfield, Illinois from Collinsville, Illinois, when the semi hit him and killed him. What we said to each other is the first one to Springfield gets free meals the whole weekend. So his telling me to tell her that
Yeah.
all the meals in heaven were on her, was definitely something I wouldn't have known. Nobody
Yeah.
at the party said that she lost her son the day before.
Sure.
They wanted to test me because it was a new party. I'd never worked before. The people didn't know me. And when
Mhm.
she came downstairs, they all came upstairs to me wanting to talk to their relatives and their friends. And I did really good. I had 34 people talk to me that day at a party of 15 people. So, but that's why I said what I do is a miracle. And it's a
Mm.
miracle in that I don't second guess what's being shown.
Mm.
And one of the best stories I did that I'm so proud of is I left the YMCA in Belleville on Carlisle Avenue. Right next to the Y is Walmart. So I'd stop and get all the stuff I need. And as I was driving, a young man popped into my back seat and he goes, see, my arm's here. And when we get out, I'll show you that my leg's here on the left side. And he said, but you have to stop my brother from committing suicide like I did. And you have to tell him I'm in heaven because we're Catholic and suicide people don't go to heaven normally. But because of my post-traumatic stress from war, God let me go to heaven. But you got to tell him I'm okay. And his name is, and he told me the name. And somebody pulled in next to me, slammed their car and park, slammed the car door open. And I looked and he goes, that's him. And I went, oh my God. So I caught up to him, and he was a big guy because he'd gained weight since his brother died because he eats when he's upset. Plus, he didn't feel like living, so his metabolism was slowed down. So God gave me the words to say to him. And I said, "Excuse me." And I called him by his name. I said, "You need to turn around and have stuff to say to you. You're a coach of a lot of kids, and they love you, and they respect you like you loved your older brother and respected him. If you commit suicide, you're going to set off a chain reaction where they're going to want to leave their bodies and join you in heaven because you're the father they don't have at home." And I told him there were 6 kids out of all the kids he coached and that they don't share their being abused. But he gives them extra special care because the gift he has from God shows them. I then told him how to lose the weight was to exercise with them and to do rollerblading with them because several of them rollerbladed. He picked me up off the ground. I thought he was going to squeeze me to death. And he said, "Can I pay you?" And I said, "No, you can't pay me. I do this because your brother asked God. It's God and your brother doing this. I just have a big mouth." So he took my business card though, because I told him I won't accept money afterwards. I just want you to let me know how you're doing. And he had lost 45 pounds in a year. And he said he knew exactly who the 6 kids were. And he got their high school coaches to know what was going on at home. So the high school teachers and coaches could help them. That's why I said that was a total stranger. But what I did was paid forward by what he was doing. That's why when you're sitting, as I said before, getting your hair done, getting uh, your car repaired, sitting and waiting for the doctor to wait on you, the words you say can clear everything inside of somebody that's holding them back or causing them to feel they're nobody. And my last that I'll share, and then she can ask me what she wants to ask me, is this medal. It's a miraculous medal. Before Pope John Paul, who's naturally behind me on the wall, came to St. Louis, I got woke up by him in the AM hours from Italy. And he said, "I want to make it till the millennium. I want to live to the year 2000." And he was already having problems with respiratory. I looked at the screen and I said, "Don't worry, sir. I'll be there again for you." On that Christmas Eve, I went to St. Henry's Church. A gentleman came across the way to me, handed me a medallion that was a St. Benedictine monk medallion. His son was a monk out in California and had been told by Jesus to get me that so I could wear it when I healed the Pope. So when I went up to get blessed and I put my head down, Father Voss said, "Do not put your head down. You're going to be healing the Pope soon. Raise your head up so you can get the blessing and take communion." And I said, "But sir, I'm not a real Catholic. I just practice Catholicism." And he said, "If you're going to heal the Pope, you're more Catholic than any of us." So he gave me communion and I was crying all the way back to my seat and I'm going, "Oh my God, I'm crying. I look like terrible. I look awful." And Mother Mary hugged me and said, "Solame, I'm proud of you that you're willing to do this for the Pope because he's the people's Pope and he believes in all religions, not just Catholicism." So as I was sitting there and she was hugging me, the little girl in front of me that was standing up on the seat saying hi to Miss Linda from the library said, "Mom, look, Mother Mary is hugging Miss Linda from the library." Because little kids can see angels. They can see what's going on. And she saw that. So as I was leaving, Father Voss handed me paperwork. And he said, "Have this filled out and turn it in. You're now a member of our church. So you can go when the Pope's in town." And I said, "Well, I have to be inside the Transworld Dome so I can take in his illness and he can get well." Well, when I got the envelope, it said in the mail, it said I was an umbrella usher, which means I would have just brought in everybody who was in the diocese with him. And I said, "That ain't going to work." And so I prayed. And the night before, I saw that when I opened it, it would say I was a papal usher. And when I opened it, when I got over there to work, the lady says, "Oh, they gave you the wrong envelope. You're inside with the Pope." So I was able to take his bronchitis and put it in my body. And the longer he was on stage, the more his voice was solid, the more he didn't hold on to his staff that he holds, and the more he was healthy. So afterwards, a man came up to me as I was talking to a lady that comes in the library that writes books on children, and he gave me a bag of 300 silver miraculous medals. If you look, that's the first one I took out. It turned gold.
Wow.
He said to put them in drawers around my house. And he called me Solame again, like all the priests and even rabbis have called me because of my lifetime following Jesus around and being a pest. And I was a pest because I wanted to know how he was doing what he was doing because I didn't know how to do everything he could do. But understand me, when I looked at this and it turned and I put it on with the cross I got for stopping a lady's daughter from committing suicide, it immediately turned gold. Then the Sisters of Miraculous Conception grabbed me and said, Jesus told us in a vision we needed to use you to heal this lady who has polio again. So I joined them hand to hand and I led the prayer. The lady let me know a year later her polio disappeared. Did I do it? I don't totally say I did. I say the fact that that was a day when I had done something that was a sacrifice and took in the bronchitis that all the angels, not just God, every angel there is above us, said, okay, we got to do something good for Linda. She's going to be sick for 3 weeks because I never get well from bronchitis. It takes a while. And I have to figure out stones for that because it really does bother me. But what was great about it is I heard from that lady, the same as I heard from the young man. These were all situations where I didn't have these people scheduled.
Yeah.
It just happened.
It
And it's
showed up.
Lauren has done it herself, where she said something and the person had to hug her afterwards, not knowing what she did. She
Mm.
just said what came to her.
Mm.
But she changed that person's way of living and what they would allow to happen to themselves by what Lauren gave unconditionally, like all of you out there do. We don't always do it to get notoriety. I'm not here to get notoriety. I'm here to show you guys that everything I've done has not been scheduled and that miracles happen because of your intentions and also because you want to make a difference. After I gave 3 young men the superhuman yoga exercise, and you can get it online on Google, what it does is Master Choco Sui, Grandmaster Choco Sui, who healed my carpal tunnel by waving his hands over me 27 years ago, and it's not come back. He did the counterclockwise motion, and I'm going to share that with you. Doing counterclockwise circles 5 times and then pulling like this pulls out infection. It pulls out doubt if you do it to somebody in their solar plexus region in the back, because that's where people put their words to us, or even the heart area if you do it and pull, because that's your self-esteem and what you're worth and if you're worth loving. So when you do that 5 times and pull it out and throw it in purple flame, what you've done is you've taken out what's been programmed in them. One of the things I talked about is this bracelet. On my website, because of Master Choco Sui, Grandmaster, healing my carpal tunnel, he told me to take his prayer that is the soul prayer,
Mhm.
that and make it much longer. I said, but you're not going to be here. He says, I'll come back one more time. He had made an agreement with God that if he could heal millions of people, he would die at 55. So I took his I am the soul prayer and made it much, much longer for all the people that do healings. And it's on my website. Please go and use it. It's the prayer for centering yourself. the prayer to center yourself. You go on and where there's a search button, you just put prayer to center yourself.
Do you want to read that out for everybody now?
Oh, yes, I sure will. It'd be my
Mm.
pleasure.
That'd be beautiful.
I am not the body. I am not the emotion. I'm not the thought. I am not the caregiver for others. I am their guide. I am but to point the way. I am strong inside and out. No one and nothing can harm me. I brighten each life that I touch. I am one with God. I'm one with animal. I'm one with man. I'm one with the oceans. I'm one with the land. I am one with all. Illnesses cannot dwell around or within me, for I carry only white light from God and goodwill for all I see and all I talk to, towards all I touch and see. And so it is, and so it be. I am that I am. I'm one with God. I'm one with all creatures of the universe. White light contains all the healing colors for physical vessel that the soul uses. So all souls that work for God should heal their bodies that they occupy with the white light. For we are not the body, we are the soul. And so it is, and so it be.
Beautiful.
And I had more to that was I was saying it for you that was coming through. So when they look at it, when they listen to this, there'll be a little bit extra added, but it's the basic same thing. There's also something on my website, a group of psychics, along with doctors, along with psychologists, along with people from leaders from 6 different religions. I have what's called the lifting prayer on my website. If what they did down in Arkansas is they studied for 5 years families and how the same abuse goes through, the same things that are wrong go through. Somebody who's got a bipolar mother who's a kleptomaniac, they follow in her footsteps and they steal from people. Somebody who's got a father, our grandfather, and in my uncle's case, it was 5 relatives that committed suicide after trying to harm their family if they didn't succeed. And my uncle did that. So when I looked at my godfather, I immediately said that resting prayer over him and over my cousin because I love them both so much. And I knew both of them had high powered jobs and they did a lot for a lot of people and gave, but I also knew they had stress. So I didn't want them dying from a sickness that would hurt them because they weren't taking care of themselves. And that's why I'm saying to you, if you know somebody who's repeating what's gone on, all those psychics heard about what I did when I came down there for psychic fairs. So they sent me the prayer they did for the lifting prayer. They also sent me one that's on my website. That's the weather prayer.
Mhm.
And I live in Illinois, right where the tornado goes through. The one night I said the lifting prayer to protect me and my home and the neighbors and the people I care about. And then I did the weather prayer afterwards. A tree fell down. It was 4 stories high, straight into the alleyway behind my house. It didn't touch my car or the lady's car next to me or the car at the next house. And it didn't tear down their fence. So the weather prayer works. That's why I said prayer works. You don't have to be the religion that prayer came from, because in the lifting prayer, all the gods from all the different religions got listed. So that way, if somebody's from a different religion than a Christian, all the other gods are listed. And I
Yeah.
say in my handout how to pronounce their names. And I know they don't care if we pronounce it wrong. But for people that are anal retentive and want to do it totally right, like some of my clients that run big businesses are, no offense, girls, and one man. I want them to be able to use that because it lifts off everything. And I used it for a young girl who couldn't get over the fact that her mother passed. And no matter what
Mm.
I said that her mother said, she wouldn't believe me. So when I used it, it released all the stuff that everybody was saying to her. That your mother died, she's dead, she's gone. And when she got visited by her mother in a dream, she had a 3-hour dream.
Yes.
So it doesn't just lift off your behavior, it lifts off what's programmed into your head
Mm.
and the energy that you feel from people being negative.
Yeah.
So no, but I had to share that with you today. And when I got to Italy, I didn't finish that. When I got to Italy in 2017, the Pope had saved 2 rosaries for me, he blessed, and they were in the vault.
Mm.
My tour guide gave me a hug and a kiss. And she said, he told me I'm supposed to tell you everywhere he stood, everywhere he walked. And at first I didn't know who she meant. And she said, I heard this story when he came back from St. Louis. You took on his bronchitis. And I went, how do you know that? She goes, because he told us when he came back from St. Louis.
Incredible.
So when we got to where his altar was that he's buried underneath, she said, I'll leave you here, Linda. You can visit. She said, and I'll call to you later. So 10 minutes later, after close to 15 even, when he quit talking to me and said, you better catch up with them, she whispered in my ear with our earphones, Linda, it's time. Remember what my flag looks like. And I joined them. When I got to customs, after saying I would purchase the 2 rosaries and some other stuff from the gift shop, the gentleman opened my package and he goes, you have $150 worth of euros in here. He said, or I should say 150 euros in here. I said, how? He said, well, from what I know, you healed the Pope.
Huh.
And I went, who is telling people this?
They all know.
And he said, they gave you back the money on the 2 rosaries he blessed.
Oh.
So I gave them to a teacher at the Y, one of them, and kept the one I wanted because she's always been there for me through all the stuff I've gone through. And I wanted her to have his blessing too. So that's what I want to leave it with. And want to say that people know. The other miracle that I did when I was in confirmation class is our Reverend got told he was dying in 2 months. His wife became pregnant. He came and got me out of my class. And this is something I've got to tell you that everybody needs to learn about that white light. He already looked like he was dead. His face was sunken in. He'd lost so much weight from the cancer. And at that time, I was in 8th grade. I didn't know how to heal cancer. I'd only done white light on people. So he would bring me in out of my Sunday school class before he went in to do service, and I would send energy with white light with gold around it and send it through his whole body. And at that time, I only knew of 7 chakra areas. I hadn't taken pranic healing. Now that I know of all 11, I can send it to all the 11 chakras inside somebody. But he did not die. It's 60 years ago today. He was able to see his son go to first grade. And now that son does what he did.
Oh, he's also a reverend.
So it's not a coincidence because instead of Dr. Akinlab calling me Miss Humphries, he called me Miss Humphries because he knew my childhood abuse from God. So he
Mm.
didn't want me being part of that family.
Ah,
He wanted
interesting.
me to have my own name. And the
Mhm.
kids made fun of me. Humphries, Humphries. I thought, I know why he's doing it. Jesus told me in a dream. And what was wonderful is it paid me forward in that when I would know somebody had abuse in their family, I would tell them, if you believe you can achieve anything, and I believe in you, do not listen to the words said to you by other people. And that's what I want everybody out here to understand. Patti LaBelle sang There's a Winner in You to me when I was anorexic, trying to prove I was thin enough for my mom and dad, who still called me fat and sloppy at the size 5 from a size 22. Had she not sang that, I wouldn't be here.
Mm.
That was a miracle that changed my life. That's why I healed her every chance I got, because she was the person that put me to do this for everybody. That's why I made up that phrase. If you believe you can achieve anything, and I believe in you, because I want everybody to know that. They have people that have passed on that love them, that are cheering for them. I've even had people's relatives talk to me that aren't dead. But I described what they looked like, what perfume they were wearing that I was allergic to. With the one lady, I said, Your dad is smoking and talking to me. He just died last week. Tell him to quit smoking. Although he told me he ain't going to die of cancer like he did from it last week. It was so important when I hugged her that her body turned to have the smell of his aftershave that I was allergic to on her. That's why I'm saying there's no harm in saying what you see, what you feel around people. I
Mm.
didn't hurt her. I didn't hurt the young man that wanted to commit suicide. Then he helped 6 other young men. What you say to people, the stones you give them, the prayers you say for them, they all change people's lives. And what I want to say in closing, because I know we've gone long, is Lauren's shows have to be watched because I shared a lot of different miracles, but there's other people sharing the miracles they've received and that they've done. And if you can learn something from it, not just go buy stones or call me or get a hold of me, 618-277-1368, Belleville, Illinois, right across from St. Louis. Or if you're in the area, get a hold of me. Because if it's something you need that's just cancer stones, you can have them and the printouts. I don't care. If it's something you need more and we need to do work, yes, the printouts I hand you and some of them are long, you're going to pay me for. And
Mhm.
for the bigger stones. But the one stone I use, and I want to close, I was closing 5 times now, is calcite. It feels like soap. When you first get it as a rough stone, which I've got some of, they have like a little film on it. Sooner or later, it looks like this, very shiny and very soap-like. It helps you in communication when it's blue. When it's orange, it helps you have courage. If it's golden, it's helping heal you mentally, physically, and emotionally. So that's why I said I know a lot about a lot. Don't hesitate to get a hold of me, email me. If it's something that just requires me to answer you a little bit, I'll answer you a little bit. If it requires a session, we'll do a session. But my goal is to help everybody who has gifts grow into their gifts and accept that their gifts aren't odd.
Mm.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. 5 of my specialists and 2 of my family doctors now have the worksheets on the chakras and they have the bracelets.
Wow, that's
My
incredible.
heart, my heart doctor that saved my heart when I had 150 beats a minute, she got it down. I gave her a piece of labradorite because she was Hindu. I made sure it was Ganesh because he protects you. And she immediately held it and it turned bright, bright blue,
Wow.
shiny. And I said, That's because you're connected to Ganesh now.
That is so beautiful.
And that's why I'm saying some of my doctors say they want to learn from me
Mm.
because they're my doctors. They can't come and sit here at this house. So I hand them my worksheets every time I go to see them as my thank you.
And
And I
when
don't
are
know
you
what I
going to
can do
turn
for you,
those
Lauren.
into?
I have a
Mm.
lot to thank you for letting me do this
Oh,
today. So you just have to make your list and I'll be sending it to you.
well, when are you going to turn it into a book? Is what I would love to know because I think your book
I
would be
have
amazing.
to do it.
You already have a book out?
I have to do it. I've been told that by a lot of my clients that I've healed.
Yeah.
And Josie said, because she's in her late 80s, she said, I want you to do these books before I die, because you're my adopted daughter now that I lost my Linda. You're my Linda. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, Mom. So yes, I've got to get started.
Mm.
I really do.
I'm seeing books
Because
in the style of Florence Scovel Shinn. Have you read any of her books? I think
no,
that
I
with
need to.
your, oh yeah, with your, because her books are full of these kind of stories, exactly the kind of stories you've discussed
Yes.
today. And you are like maybe the reincarnation of Florence Scovel Shinn or something
Yes.
like that, or she's maybe
And
somewhere
that's
in
and
there.
that's why I said that. I knew
Mm,
from a little girl on, Queen
mm,
Hatshepsut, I was her nurse. I knew that.
mm,
People
mm.
would show pictures of Italy. I knew I'd been in Italy before. I knew a lot of things. My one doctor that did my deviated septum, when he walked in the room, he goes, Sir Michael. And he hugged me and he shook me like this. And I hugged him. I said, oh, Sir Richard. I said, are you married to your wife again this lifetime? And he goes, yes. His nurse went, her name is Linda Humphries. He goes, no, it's not. So as I was waiting to get my deviated septum fixed, he told the lady that was doing my knocking me out for the surgery, and she goes, "Do you happen to have a business card on you?" I went, "Wait a minute, I'm ready for surgery. I don't think I carry them anywhere on me." So I gave her my phone number, and her and her daughter come to see me. But it was my past lives played into this one for healing people and for not being afraid of helping people and being blunt, telling you to get rid of your sister who is jealous of you, which I told one of my clients to do. And since her sister's not in her life to talk down to her, she's a successful realtor. She still
Ah,
teaches singing classes, and she was the one that the Pope met when he got back from being healed by me and told her she was meet me when she moved back to Illinois. And sure enough, we're friends. So, like I
yeah.
said, miracles happen.
Mm,
Please, everybody out there, listen to this. Listen to it over if you need to, but learn that I was just a little girl who grabbed all my past lives and asked to be able to do what I saw Jesus do.
mm.
And yes, it's very odd. If you look at my crown chakra, there's two halos above it. I've had priests tell me that. I've had rabbis tell me that. I've had little kids tell me that. Until I had an aura camera picture taken the week after my surgery was performed on the stones that disappeared out of me. I didn't know that, but when I had the aura camera picture, I said, Jesus, you're standing there. Please tell me why I'm called Solame and tell me why everybody sees halos above my head. I've got the picture and it's posted on my uh, Facebook page where everybody can look at it of the two halos inside each other.
I
That's
was
why
just
I'm
going to
saying,
ask you about Solome. Tell me about Solome. What was the answer?
okay, um, you don't hear Jesus's sister's name, and he had two.
Mm.
Salome was one. Our grandmother, Anne, was a psychic. So that's how I had the gift. He was definitely the person who was born as a miracle. But growing up and following him and watching what him and Mary Magdalene and the disciples did was the reason I practiced Catholicism, because every aunt that made me feel good about myself was a Catholic.
Mm.
And I went to church with them. And when I'd go, they'd call me Salome. Even though
Ah.
I was introduced as Linda, the priest would call me Salome.
Mm.
At my speech on miracles in 1996, after my friend Rosie had passed, in a hotel lobby, three nuns sat and stared at me like they were like, whoa. And when I finished teach, teaching the class about miracles and telling everybody how miracles had happened, and that was way before I did all the stuff I've done, they came up to me and said, "You've got two halos above your head, Salome." And I went, "Why do I cry every time you call me that?" And they said, "Because you don't understand who you were."
Wow. That is, I've got goosebumps everywhere.
So that's why I'm telling everybody who
Mm.
we were in past lives changes what we can do in this life if we can awaken ourselves. I sell the Dalmatian stone and other stones that help you tune into your past life. I also do past life regressions where I'll regress you and you do your own journey. Or I do past life readings where if you're scared and I don't put anybody under, I talk you into relaxing. I don't do hypnotists. But if you're scared of that, I always ask people to please let me then do your reading. If I've done a session with you before, I probably picked up on something. Like the one lady came to me, she was 290 pounds. She was a school teacher. She couldn't walk with her one leg from the time she was 6 on up. I did her past life reading for her. And I told her, "What are you seeing?" She says, "I'm a little boy and my grandfather's starving. It's the potato famine. I got to go get him some food." She goes, "Oh my God, that guy hit my knee. I can't walk home." She went to steal groceries to take them to her grandfather who was sick. She got hit when she was 7. The knee never worked after that. The leg was always stiff. After we did that past life regression, she went down to 175 pounds in 2 years from 250. And she was able to walk. And she started to quit overloading her refrigerator, instead taking food in for the kids that she knew were from homes that couldn't afford it.
Oh.
So again, it's another miracle I didn't do.
Mm.
The past life regression did, but it released what she went through.
Incredible.
That's why I'm telling everybody, if you need a rebirthing even, where somebody takes you back to what's abused you in this childhood, like I had done, you can release all of the abuses
Mm.
and be healthy.
Mm.
And that's why I did that centering prayer. When Master Choco Sui came to the US, he was on oxygen, and I gave it to him. And I gave him some lemongrass oil to use to help him get rid of negative thoughts and get rid of negative energy. And I tell everybody, put a little bit of that in an atomizer, 2 drops at the most, and spray your room counterclockwise, like you do with pranic healing, counterclockwise, to get rid of the energies that are in your house. If you don't want that smell, you can put 3 cloves down each of your drains and say, "These are the power of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. They're the power to heal me emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And by them being in the drain, you're saying no entity can enter my house ever, unless it is welcomed by me." And I have people that are attacked at their workplace by their coworkers that are jealous. And they use it. And they go to work the next day and they can't hear what the coworkers are saying. And it's just 3 little cloves. They look like baseball bats. They're not that big. But it stops you from physically taking in, if you cannot bring a small piece of this to wash them off with the calcite and play with it, that'll stop them.
We had one of the people who's watching live say hi, so I just asked if they had any questions for you.
Yes. Do you?
Do you have anything coming through that you feel is a message that you want to share?
Yes. I'm already put on my candle spells to do and what the different colors of candle are, what days of the week to use them in. I'm going to start putting on the descriptions of the different stones I use for healing and putting on, and I want to do it in a verbal thing that everybody could look at on YouTube, but I also want to do it taking pictures of the different stones and putting what they do on my website. And do it for self-esteem, do it for new job, do it for romance, do it for childbirth, do it for bones.
Mm.
I don't know that I can put the Lyme disease one on because it worked for a dog. My dog knocked all my stones off the top of where I've got them on a table inside of trays with the packages of the ones that you saw me hold up, all these different kinds of healing things. And he knocked all of them off. And I said, "What is your problem, Nikki? What's wrong?" And he's named after my uncle Nicholas, who talked to me after he died in 1918 and talked to me about what I was going to do for people on my grandmother's porch from 1955 to 1968 when he quit talking to me. I had no idea he was dead. He was as real as he could be. My dad and my dad's two brothers all learned how to load a gun properly from him. He died before they were born. Now, my Aunt Maudie actually was born six, she was here 6 months before he died. But she said he taught her how to be a millionaire and how to make money and what to do for people.
That's
So
incredible.
we all have a very vivid imagination, or it's real that he talked to us. So when I went to his daughter's funeral, and there was a lady there whose son had committed suicide. I walked up to her. She goes, "Oh, you look like Julie Linke. Are you related to her?" I said, "Yeah, that's my great aunt." She goes, "You're gifted like her. I heard about you." And I said, "Ma'am, I have something to tell you. Your son had bone cancer. That's why he hurt himself. And that's why he's not here anymore on earth. The pain was too severe."
Mm.
She went up and told everybody. It was
Really?
supposed to be a funeral, and she told everybody what a miracle that was.
That's
And then I told her he
incredible.
was in heaven. So I agree, yes, it was a miracle, but it was just something that came out of my mouth. Like I said, when God tells me something, the big mouth goes and I heal people. And I'm proud of it. But I'm also sometimes overwhelmed because I had no idea going to a funeral.
That was
I would
gonna
then
go.
make father family connections with people I've never met. And now they all have pictures from the 1800s of all the relatives because I have that album that my Aunt Monty gave me.
Wow.
And they know what they all did because I told them what each one of my great aunts did. And then
That
my
is,
grandmother was the test of who you should be friends with. If you wanted to know if I'm a good person, you ask my grandmother. She'd tell you. If she didn't like me, she'd tell you to get rid of me because that was her gift. So,
Clarence
as
would
I
like to
said,
know. Oh,
this is
sorry.
it's just amazing to let people know they're
Mhm.
not imagining what they see
Yeah. Or smell or hear.
are are here. And
Hmm.
like with you, like I said, you've given so much help to all of us. And that's why I want to start watching some of the YouTube videos that you've done with other people because I want to learn what their gifts are.
Mm.
Because Master Choco Sui met me and healed my pranic healing. And then he said to me before I left the stage, "Don't tell anybody what you know I promised God." He said, "And why are you here when you already know how to heal people?" I said, "I need your techniques." So remember, it doesn't hurt to ask Lauren how she heals people. It doesn't hurt to ask what miracles everybody around you has been part of
Mm. Yeah.
because
So,
it's necessary. Go ahead.
yeah, we have a person, Clarence, who has been chatting on the live chat, and he would like to know if you have any messages from Spirit for him.
Um, I
Guessing
have
it's
to
him.
I have to make a statement because I don't see
Mhm.
him right now.
Yeah.
That when you were saying you had somebody with a question, um, he doesn't realize how much he helps people. And I want him to listen to this very carefully. And that there's a gentleman, and I don't understand why I'm seeing a plaid shirt. I'm seeing a plaid shirt, and I'm seeing the gentleman being helped by him by something he did for the man. And the man said, "I want to take away what he didn't believe he had as value and make him realize what he has as value right now." So I want him to think about that because he's starting to shift what he's doing with his life. And I want him to think about the man. He wore plaids. He also jingled either keys or coins in his pocket. So you've got to think about that. And the reason he's saying that is because you've got decisions to make, and he wants you not to doubt the decisions you're making. Quit listening to what other people are telling you. Don't doubt. Does, if that makes sense to him, please have him give you something back on it. Because I saw other people around him that he helped that have passed, but he helped them by just being courteous with them, just being kind to them. But this man, he's actually did physical labor with. He actually did things because of who the man was to him. And I do after proms. And the one man came in, young man came in a wheelchair and he slammed against my desk and he goes, "Well, I get my 3 minutes now, don't I?" I said, "Your grandfather's mad that you're mad about being in that wheelchair." And he was a farmer. And I'm going to tell you something. He's really upset with you because you can do a lot for people. You've done it your whole life. Why are you giving up now? I finished the after prom. That was at 10:30. He was my first person. At 5:30 in the morning, when I finished doing everybody that was waiting in line to see me, he was waiting outside in his wheelchair. And we went up in the elevator and he drove me out to my car by walking with me in his wheelchair. And he said, "I'm now not angry. I know what I got to do." It's,
Clarence is having an amazing experience with everything you're saying. He said earlier, he said, "Is this in spirit, the person with the jacket?" And then you carried on speaking. You said grandfather, maybe. And then you carried on speaking and he said, "Oh, wow, grandpa was in a wheelchair." Oh my
yeah,
God.
yes. That's why
So,
I told the story about the young man in the wheelchair because I knew his grandfather ended up in a wheelchair. It's like when my farmer partner that I was engaged to um, went and took drum equipment to Duffy Jackson, at who was the drummer for Count Basie. Count Basie came out. He said, "I hear you're not allowed to come in because the guy who owns that drum shop didn't get you tickets." I said, "No, he didn't." He goes, "Well, you're in now." And the manager says, "Well, they can only stay for one concert and they can have the meal because they're going to sit with the band, you said." So she came up in between concerts and I was talking to Count Basie and he asked me, "Will I be able to play music till the day I die? It's as important to me as it was to your father to play music." I told him I saw him in a wheelchair, but he would be wheeled up on stage 2 weeks before he died. One of my friends played in New York City. Count Basie was wheeled up on stage 2 weeks before he died. So that miracle was done by what God told me. It wasn't from one of his dead relatives saying, "Oh, God told us he's going to be around till da da da." God told me. And I did warn him about the wheelchair. When I saw him next in concert was before he passed, was with Rosemary Clooney and Tony Bennett. And sure enough, he was in the wheelchair. Still played really good.
mm,
That's why I'm saying what I had to tell him that was a wheelchair involved. And that's what made me think of Count Basie's story.
yeah.
Because when she came to kick us out, he said, "She's part of the band. If she goes, we go."
Mm,
And I stayed for a second concert. So that's why I'm saying to you, I didn't do anything special. I did what my gifts were.
yeah.
But we each have to understand our gifts are special.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
we need to pull in those gifts and believe in them so we can do it for everybody.
yeah.
And
Clarence.
he
Mhm,
needs to know what his
mhm,
grandfather said to me was that there are certain relatives that are relative. You don't have to listen to them.
yeah. He said, "I wish I could have known about Grandpa. There were so many things I wanted to, oh, I can't see. I wanted to know. Um, and I'm feeling like your grandfather wants you to know that you can talk to him, Clarence.
Yes,
You can
exactly.
talk to him, you can communicate with him just like you're communicating with us right now,
Right.
and he will talk back to you."
Oh yeah, and you know he's going to visit him now that he knows. Now that
Yeah,
he knows who it is, what, and he has other people watch over him, but that's the person that I would say is the most connected to him.
yeah,
And the one who really doesn't like the fact that he's gone and can't help him.
mm,
So if he does it himself, he's paying back his grandfather for watching over him.
beautiful.
So
This has
no,
been so special.
I just, like I said, I did a podcast on Light Talk with Dana. And we did it about my channeling abilities. And it ended up being 2 hours. And people are still watching it. And I was like, oh my God, we did 2 hours. This is awful. And they get a hold of me and they say, oh no, it was wonderful. And I think I do that once in a while with people and they'll explain what they've done. And I go, yes, you do.
Clarence added, I wanted him to help me so much. He is helping you, Clarence. And he said there were reasons why.
Yes. And
Mm,
that's why I said it's not a coincidence. He was the one that immediately wrote about something because he
mm,
needed to know his grandfather's always there.
yeah.
His grandfather will visit him. His grandfather will touch him. He's going to feel his grandfather's hands on his shoulders.
Mm.
And if he is very quiet right now and just relaxes, he's going to feel that
I got a shiver.
because his grandfather is thanking us for what we're doing so he can talk to him. But his grandfather wants him to know anytime he needs him, he's there.
Mm. Clarence is crying. And I'm
But
feeling.
that's why I'm so grateful you let me on here.
Mm,
Because doing those after proms with those kids, and I voluntarily stay longer than I'm supposed to, and they sit in line for me
mm,
because in 3 minutes I give them something they couldn't have got anywhere
yeah.
else. And I would do it longer, but then I'd have to stay till the next evening. So they only get 3 minutes and they have the little lady standing outside going, okay, next one, next one, next one. But it's a gift. And he does it with his friends. He helps
Mm,
build them up. And his grandfather's so proud of that.
mm,
But as he said, as I ignore my sister, you have to ignore those relatives that are just relative.
yeah. And I would highly recommend, Clarence, that you book a session with Linda Humphries, lindahumphries.com.
Yes,
I'm pretty
it's
sure I already have that
it's
in the
I think you
description.
probably have it in there. It's
Yeah.
LindaHumphies.com.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things on there that I want people to learn that I put on as articles.
Mm.
To get rid of my migraines, I use Rolfing technique. And it's a
Oh.
technique nurses taught me. And you press right here and here. You
Mhm,
press where the bone meets at the below your neck.
mhm,
And you press and you breathe in and out for a minute, slow. When you pull away, like I said, you're pulling away and throwing it into purple flame. And if it doesn't work right away, you do it again. But it shouldn't take more than 5 times to relieve you if it is brought on by scents that you smell, brought on by tension that you're feeling, or brought on by yourself doubting yourself
mhm,
and you're beating yourself up. That's why I tell everybody who gains weight 5 pounds to 10 pounds, 5 pounds to 10 pounds, and then they lose it. We started the psychic fairs on Super Bowl Sunday. We finished them the day after Veterans Day, the weekend after Veterans Day. I would gain a dress size or a pants size. The one lady who was only size 2 would go up to a size 9
wow.
because we use our throats to talk to you. We use our third eye to talk to you. The throat also contains your thyroid, which is metabolism. If you're so busy taking care of others and you don't clean them off and clear them off, and I do teach that as a class on cleaning and clearing your chakras, you end up gaining weight because you're carrying around everybody else.
Mm, yeah.
Once you say the centering prayer, the prayer to center yourself, and you do the lifting and the throwing away and aligning your chakras, which, like I said, if they want the bracelet, it's all on my website what we can do.
Mm,
And if they want to talk to me personally about what they want stone wise, we can do that too. I
mm,
don't want anybody not to get what they need.
yeah.
And it's not about booking a reading with me and my making that money. If it's something I do for them just with stones
Mm.
and sending them something that's not on my website, I'll do that.
Mm.
But
And the skills
I
that
do want to,
mhm,
I
the
do want to
privilege.
get more things like this going on to where people can learn from me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been incredible. The prayer of St. Francis of Assisi is one that's been with me my whole life. I've
Oh,
sang
yeah.
it in many different ways. I absolutely love it. I used to carry it around as well, like you've got
Yes.
that card.
And
Do you
I
have a
don't
card
think
deck out?
what?
Do you have a card deck out? Do you have
I,
oracle
I have
cards
the
or do you
cards. I
have?
send out the prayer cards. They know what Our Lady knows what I do for a living. And they know
Mm,
when I come in. And I got the big prayer card. Then I've got the littler ones
mm.
that I give out. But for some people that don't know who he was,
Mhm.
I give the bigger one out that talks about his life.
Oh, beautiful.
Because I
Lovely.
want them to understand I'm not practicing Catholicism because I was raised Catholic. I'm practicing it because of all the miracles I've seen and because of my past life. And I have a dream to go to Egypt and see Delbar, which is uh, I always cry when I say that, the big church that Queen Hatshepsut built. And I was part of that. And I want to go there again because they were restoring it.
I hope you go.
Because, and it's what you program, and people have to learn that. And I'll give them one other thing. In pranic healing, every full moon, the people that have gotten readings from me get my meditation and what the full moon stands for. I get messages from my friend Rosie, the astrologer, as to what the planet is that is next to the moon, even though I told her before she died there were two more planets past Pluto, so astrology doesn't work, and she got mad at me. So the day they announced on the news there were two more planets past Pluto, she sent roses smells to me because I called her Rosie all the time. And I said, I can't deal with that. That's going to give me a migraine. So then she changed it to Rosemary. Rosemary sent, and I could handle that. And she said, I don't like you being right. And I said, I don't like me being right either, but I knew there were two more planets past Pluto. But I will say it to you, all those planets are made of rock. That's why I tell everybody
Mm,
when Mars is retrograde, you're not supposed to sign contracts. You're not supposed to do anything. Rosie Casatino would tell you that over and over again. But the two cars I bought, well,
mm,
there were three of them total. They've gone over 100,000 miles, and two of them went 136,000 miles before I had to trade them in. I bought my house where the woman was abused in that first owned it. And she died here from her husband not getting her a doctor.
mm,
When I read for people that are being abused, there's times she shows herself. Sometimes it's at the top of the stairs talking about me. Sometimes it's on my roof as they're getting into their car. And she says, thank you for coming to
wow.
my home and thank Linda for healing it.
Mm,
And it's
beautiful.
because I've done so much to it. And it's been a house of healing.
Mm,
And that's why I'm telling you all, your house may not look like much to you, but if somebody's comfortable being there and they want to stay longer, it's because you're giving them something and the house is giving them something that they were missing.
mm.
Never think, unless you got a nosy relative that wants to ask you 4,000 questions. I won't talk about that. And then you want them to leave right away. But if it's somebody who's come as a guest and you've done your job, they won't want to leave because the house has taken on the healing that you do.
Mm,
My niece said, I got two lovebirds given to me by a client who I helped her find out where her husband was cheating on her at and where the lady's house was. That's how good my gift was for her. And so she gave me two lovebirds. The one lived to be 22 and died of cancer. The other one lived to be 25. They don't live that long, my niece said. I said, you're nuts. They do too. And she goes, well, Aunt Linda, I happen to know in captivity, some of them don't.
mm.
And she said, but with you, I can't conceive why you have that happen, but you did. And it was
You'll get
because both of them would talk to the people that were dead around the people that came to see me. And if
me.
I didn't talk to the person that wanted to talk, they would get loud because the person was telling them that I had to talk. And now my parakeet does the same thing.
You talking about lovebirds, Clarence wants to know. I don't know if this is anything you can answer or would like to, I don't know. He wants to know, do you see anything in my love life in the future?
In yours or in his?
His, no, no,
Yes.
his.
Okay. I was gonna say in yours, I don't have to bother with that. Anyway,
Yeah.
with his, yes, because he's raised what he's worth.
Mm,
And he knows he doesn't have to be a pleaser. His grandfather just told him that.
mm,
So the person coming in will also have a family member that picks on them and is funny. So when he meets this person, be prepared. And I don't know if it's a grandfather or it's an uncle or a great uncle, but it's someone who will tell him more than that person wants him to know about their childhood. And then we'll tease him and say, if you want to know more, give me your phone number. And I want him to give the phone number out just because that person will give him a hint as to how to work it and what is about the person he's dating. Get me?
okay.
Because the person he's going to be with is like me and you and him, is a coach for everybody they meet. But they've also had situations where they've been hurt and he has to go slow and make sure the person gets included in his life with his friends, make sure they're not put aside for somebody because
Mm,
that's what the person's been through. And I think that's why when the uncle, and I think it's probably an uncle or grandfather, that teases him and says, you know what you're stuck with. You know how this person was when she was little, blah, 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 blah. And what they say. And one of my gay friends came to me for a reading about that. And I told him he was going to have a harem of guys and he'd find the right one by knowing that they were real and they weren't bragging about themselves, but they had a grandmother that teased them. And I told him about the grandmother. He goes, I met the person. She's
mm.
really, she's really pretty sarcastic. She kind of is like Dorothy on Golden Girls. She says stuff really blunt, but I can tell she's teasing. But I don't know that the person I'm dating takes it that way. I said, they know her sarcasm. In this case, with the young man I'm talking to today, it won't be sarcasm. It'll be telling embarrassing stories. And the person will be embarrassed. But he needs to then share what he's done in his childhood. That's the way we get people to relax that have been in relationships where they've been judged
Mm,
or where they haven't been given to. If we can share what we've been through,
yeah.
or if it's something funny, like I taught Rosie's son to make eggplant when he was only 11 years old, eggplant parmesan. I got a phone call from one of my clients that was in deep trouble. I didn't remember where I sat the eggplant parmesan. And I talked to her for 15 minutes on emergency session. When I went to stand up, he had a towel in front of me. He goes, Aunt Linda, I got to wipe the eggplant off of you before you drag it all over the floor. So when we took the eggplant parmesan to my workplace the next day, he said, don't taste this the way Aunt Linda did last night. And then he told how I sat in my eggplant parmesan to everybody I worked with. I was so embarrassed. But saying that, it makes me have a funny story about something I did while helping a man who didn't know how to read real good, who didn't know how to do much because he lost his mom, cook. And now he cooks fabulous. And he's also a carpenter who builds things. So we make a difference. That's why I'm telling him when his person he meets is really there and he has a feeling it's the right person and he gets introduced to the relative, the person that's teasing and talking about childhood stuff or stuff in the distant future or the distant past and what's been going on in the near past is doing it to get the laugh going, to
Okay.
relax the tension because I know he's going to be tense about meeting people. And this
Mm.
person is going to want to introduce him to everybody.
So I think you've answered his other questions because he said, have I met them yet? I'm hearing, no, he hasn't met this person yet, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, hasn't met him, and her, and he said the person I'll be with will tell embarrassing stories, but you meant no, the uncle is going to tell the embarrassing stories, right? Just to get everybody laughing and to break the ice.
Yes, just to
Yeah,
break the ice.
so it won't be the
They're
person.
not picking on the person, but they're doing it
Yeah,
to break the ice.
yeah,
And I'll be blunt, the lady that sounded like Dorothy from Golden Girls really did kind of upset me by the way they were. I knew that she would be picking as a grandmother on her grandson.
yeah.
And she said something to me that made my person know what it was. And it was, he was called Snickle Fritz when he was little. And she's going to call him Snickle Fritz. And he hated that. So that told him right away, because he met several families, but that told him right away, yes, Linda was not wrong. Yes, Linda was right on. What this person is like, that the young man's going to meet that we're talking to, is they do a job where they're involved with people and they make a big difference. And I see it being a lot of people, not just a few. So I don't know if they work in retail, if they're a nurse, or who they are, because they do a lot of different things for the people that are with them. So no, tell him to please make sure he takes those notes and does that.
Yeah. So he said, so it's not Peter or H. No, it's not someone you've met yet,
No,
right?
it's
Yeah.
someone he has not met or has not spent enough time with to know family. And
Okay.
tell him that there is a difference.
Yeah.
Even if he's with the right person, if they haven't had the courage to introduce him, or they want to take stuff slower and they don't want to be fast, I want him to meet the family. And I want him to see that the family hugs, the family touches. It's really nice because it's their approval of you.
Yeah. Okay. Last question he had was lawyer question mark. And then he said, I don't know their family.
Um, um, Answer me. What do they want? They want to know.
There is
Is
a lawyer, he said.
a lawyer?
There's a lawyer? Yeah.
That could be because of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I saw the career being is someone who helps a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
with different things. It's not the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Okay.
lawyer
So it could be.
does.
Mm.
Yes. Tell
So
him
he said he'll keep that in mind.
he's got to meet the family. I'm pushing
Okay.
that. I'm pushing that for him to get the vibe that yes. And he's got to remember this person too has been through some of the stuff he's been through and lost people that are important to them.
Mm.
So him sharing anything that we talked about or anything that went on, except for don't share about the relative, but anything else that we've talked about him and say how he was awakened to that happening and that people that have passed on watch over us because that
Mm.
person has people watching over them also.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you
Um,
so much. I
Thank
think we
you.
should leave it at that. We're nearly at two
We
hours.
can definitely. Namaste to everybody who
That's
listened.
been so beautiful. Thank you for
And
everything you've
please
shared.
definitely get a
Thank you.
hold of me if you need something. If
Yeah,
if you don't have my name, lindahumphries.com, and the phone number is Central Time in the US, 618-277-1368. You can email me,
hmm
linspirit, Linspirit, Lynn and then spirit at prodigy.net. But there is
good.
a form on my website you fill out for what you want from me.
That is
But thank you,
awesome.
Lauren. Bless you for all the
Clarence
stuff you've
said
done.
he will. He will contact you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That
But
was so beautiful.
we will talk anytime you need anything.
Yeah.
Let
Thank
me
you for
know.
your time and your
Thank you.
energy and your beautiful stories. I cannot wait to read your book. I
Yes,
do
yes, and I
hope
do
that
have to
that
do
can
that.
help.
I was already told by several people that are gifted like you that it's
Mm.
time I write this down and not just have my big mouth run off.
Well, this is the way you can do it. Actually, it's so easy nowadays. You can just talk it out and then transcribe it, and
Oh,
that will
that
be,
would be
and then give
great.
it to somebody, and then they'll
That would
turn
be
it
great.
into a book.
I'll
It's
have to
really
do.
easy.
I'll have to do that. Definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who listened.
Thank you.
Remember,
Thank
if you
you.
believe you can achieve anything, and I believe in all
Mm.
of you. Bye, Lauren. Thank you.
I love that message. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go figure out how to
Okay.
switch this off because that's always tricky.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Love you lots.
Love you a lot. Bye.
Bye. Well, I'm just gonna go to where we switch. Why is this not working? It doesn't want to switch you off, Linda. It doesn't want to.
It doesn't want to let us go. I'm going to leave the meeting and see if it lets us go because I put leave the meeting twice and it hasn't.
I know, it doesn't
Sorry.
want to go
Sorry,
there.
Lauren.
Okay.
It was us longer. Bye-bye. Take
There we go. Ah.